Hello, this is Britt Caswell with another example video. In today's video, I'm covering example 2 from section 9-4 in the SavvasRealize Algebra 1 textbook. The goal of today's video is to solve equations in the form ax squared equals c. Alright, so there's just a number being multiplied to the x squared. This is actually very similar to example 1. The only thing that you need to remember is that before we could take a square root to get rid of a square, you have to get rid of the number in front of it. Alright, so in this case, because there's a number being multiplied to the x squared, we need to divide to isolate the square term. Alright, so to start out with, I'm taking this expression and I'm dividing both sides of my equation by 7. Alright, so I get x squared is equal to, and 112 divided by 7 is 16. And now I'm able to take the square root of each side. And remember, if ever you take a square root, you always have to put a plus or minus in front of it. So I get x equals positive or negative, and the square root of 16 is 4. So my two potential solutions are x equals 4 and x equals negative 4. That's what that plus or minus means. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's try that again. So on this one, there's a negative 3 being multiplied to the x squared. So I'm dividing by negative 3. So that leaves me with x squared equals 8. Now to get the square to be undone, essentially, I'm going to take the square root of each side, putting the plus or minus so that I don't mess it up. And so I get x equals positive or negative. Ooh, and I need to break apart that 8. So I'm actually going to come to the side real quick. So 8 is 4 times 2, and 4 is 2 times 2. So when I'm dealing with the square root of 8, I'm dealing with the square root of 2 times 2 times 2. And I need to find pairs that can come out. And so that's where I have my pair of 2's here. So I have x equals the positive or negative 2 from my pair, and then the square root of 2 for the one that's left in there. So if I needed to write this as two solutions, I could say x equals 2 root 2 and x equals negative 2 root 2. Alright, so now let's do this with the triad. So the first thing, I need to divide to get rid of the number in front of the x squared. So when I divide by 5, I get x squared equals 25. And then to get rid of the square, I take the square root. Don't forget to put your plus or minus in front of the radical. So I get x equals plus or minus, the square root of 25 is 5. So my two potential solutions are x equals 5 and x equals negative 5. Alright, now one more time. Now on this one, ooh, it's a little freaky because it's a fraction. Don't panic though. So remember, to undo a fraction being multiplied, you can multiply by the reciprocal. So what I'm doing is I'm multiplying both of these by negative 2. And what that'll do is negative 2 times negative 1/2 is just 1. Okay, so it'll cancel out that negative 1/2. So I get x squared equals negative 36 times negative 2 is a positive 72. Now that number is pretty big for when I go to take that square root. So let's go ahead and let's break apart 72. I know I have 8 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. 8 is 2 times 4. And 4 is 2 times 2. Okay, so now we're ready to take that square root. Now don't forget, if ever you take a square root to get rid of a square, you always put a plus or minus. So I have x equals the positive or negative, and then the square root of 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. And so now I'm looking for those pairs. So I see a pair of 2's and I see a pair of 3's. Okay, so I'm going to have a 2 and a 3 that come out. So I have x equals the positive or negative 2 times 3 is 6, root 2. Now if I need to write that out, because Savvas I think doesn't let you put a plus or minus to count both solutions, I would say x equals 6 root 2 and x equals negative 6 root 2. So there we have it. That's how to solve equations that are written as ax squared equals c. Until next time.